Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever or whoever you may be. I'm Alan Orrante, and this is the Recluse podcast. This is episode 50. It's the last of the first season. I've been podcasting for the whole year of 2020, and I just kind of want to reflect a little bit on what I've learned and some of what I've experienced in the last year. Sort of renewing of vows, if you will. It's been good. I've had, I think, over 40 interviews. It's like 40 to 45 interviews. There were a few episodes where I was just documenting some of the protests that were going on. At these protests, there's always speeches. I tried to capture some of those, and I did. Mostly interviews. I'm curious to see how next year goes. I think I'm not going to come in too heavy with the podcast for 2021. I kind of want to put my eyes on a couple other things, but since it's the last day of the year, it's December 31st of 2020, I thought I would just talk about the last year a little bit until I send off this last transmission of the year. There are a few guest highlights that I'd just like to bring up, just for the record. Some interviews are better than others, of course. Some are very special. Some you're surprised by. You can't believe what it's turned into. So I can't measure all the episodes in 15, 20-minute segments. So I'll just bring up a few that when looking over them earlier, I thought, maybe I should say something about this. I'll start with the first interview, Jeff DeCesare. He's a huge skateboarder. He's episode 2 of the podcast. He has over 100,000 followers now, sponsored by a bunch of well-known brands. And I just remember that interview and the way I prepared for it and studied for it and had like 100 questions and tried to think of every way to do it. And then after I recorded it, I chopped it into tiny pieces and Frankenstein the interview into something that didn't resemble what it actually was. And it's funny because I just don't do that anymore. I trim out little things here and there for interviews, little awkward pauses, times where we speak over each other for a little too long. So I've just relaxed so much since then. I got to interview Jim Bates, one of my childhood heroes. He was a pro skater in the early 2000s, local dude. It was awesome to talk to him, to be across from him, and to have it clearly on the record once and for all. I had interviewed him maybe a year or two before that, maybe 3 years before that with my snowball mic, and tried to videotape it with my iPhone or something, or iPad actually, and didn't come out very good, but he was still gracious in it, and I still have the books he signed for me. Another episode that really stands out to me is episode 13. That's with Luis Mendez. We had run into each other in downtown Ventura. Admittedly, I was walking Main Street. I was trying to find somebody to interview. Episode 13. And I ran into Luis and his friend, this girl he was with. I just mentioned that we were in front of Burger King on at the intersection of the Avenue and Main Street, and I ran into them and had just mentioned how I was looking for somebody to interview, and the girl was like, "Oh, well, you found the right person," sort of pointing to Luis because I guess he was a chatterbox. He was really interesting looking. He had a heavy denim jacket, I think, some kind of jacket on, but no shirt. This medallion, a necklace, long hair with gray in it, a beard. He looked like my grandfather. He looked like me, kind of. And we had lunch together and talked. And it was interesting. It was outside. The audio's almost bad. It's like pretty bad. You hear the wind blowing into it and stuff like that. Well, you don't hear the wind blowing into it, but you can hear we're right on the sidewalk. I mean, you hear again, at the intersection of Main and the Avenue, it's like busy. So it's really loud. But the audio actually turned out okay for having it just be on my iPhone, and between the two of us, took photos of him. He went off into these lunacy tangents where he would just talk about his what he's seen in the world, and it was like biblical and it sounded very imaginary, but it was very real to him. He obviously had some sort of mental thing going on. He was homeless. And what's interesting about that interview is that a few months go by, maybe almost a whole year goes by, and there's this local there was a skate protest sort of thing. So it was during the time when there was protests this year in 2020, and there was a skateboard one where we skated all the way from a skate shop all the way to a skate park, a couple miles. We end up at this little skate park, and I'm a keen dude, and I noticed this guy at the skate park, like polar opposite of where I'm standing, with like 2 boxes of beer, 30 packs, 2 of them, just him and his friend. And I think, what the hell, like, dude, maybe I should go get one, see if he's, I'll give him $5 or something, Venmo him for beer. His name's Melchor, and I went over there after a little while, just kind of watching, just kind of eyeing up the scene. And of course, he didn't take my money and just gave me one. I ended up having 2 or 3, standing there, met this new dude. So then after that, first I interview Luis months ago. Then I meet this dude months later. A couple months go by after that I meet Melchor. And I get a comment on episode 13 saying, "That's my brother. He just passed away." And it as it turned out, that was Luis's brother. So Luis was like 40, 45, Melchor's 30, 32, something like that. It turned out I had just by chance met Melchor, Luis's brother, and I had this audio of Luis. He had passed away. He was it looks like murder. He died from a blunt trauma to the head. And Luis being homeless, he wasn't really in deep contact with the family, and they didn't have recent pictures of him, and maybe haven't even talked to him in years. I'm not sure what the situation is, but I had 50 minutes of me talking to this guy for them to hear, and they got to hear it. I took photos of him, and they got to see them. I ended up going to his funeral, or his wake, I should say. And so I just felt like I should go. It's during COVID, so, it was sparse. Not sparse, but it was outside. People had to sit far apart. And I went. It was here in Ventura. And I sat in the back. And I was sitting there for a little while, and I heard this sound, like a radio or something. And I listened long enough, and I realized that it was our interview, because it's published online, and the family was listening to it at the wake of Luis talk. His brothers, I think, were listening to it. And it sort of just reminds me, it really shook me, in the sense that I know why I'm doing this. I know what it means to have that. Interestingly enough, episode 14, the next episode, so I interviewed Luis, episode 13. Episode 14 is with my 2 grandmothers, a phone conversation that I recorded. Both of them, my mom's mom and my dad's mom. 15-minute conversation each, something like that. And one of the big reasons why I did this podcast in the first place was that I didn't get to record my grandfather talking and hearing him answer my questions. And ever since that happened, I wanted to not have that happen again. So I recorded those conversations with my grandmothers. And one of them has since passed away. My dad's grandmother, my dad's mom, I mean. We didn't spend much time together. Estranged, basically. But in the last few years, I started connecting to that side of the family again. And yet again, this audio I got to share with my dad's side of the family. They get to hear my grandma talk, just being herself, answering questions how she is, how she would normally do. I'm sold. I'm sold on this. It's fun to talk to people on the record, see them authentically and the way they want to be, putting on their best shirt, having it chiseled in stone to listen to someday. I don't think many people are listening to these things. Anybody that does is crazy. Why would they care about my questions for people? I think I'm probably going to be one of the only people listening back. Probably my family too, and I hope I talk enough in it. Hope it's because I know I'm very guest oriented. I try not to talk about myself too much, but since I'm the one who makes this thing, why not talk about myself a little bit during the review? This a year in review, if you will. I also met Chula Chola. Episode 22, I interviewed a woman named Chula Chola. She at the time was featured by Fools Gone Wild, the huge Instagram page. They just got verified, and they're over 1 million followers now. And they blasted one of her videos of her sort of being joyful and giving advice to whoever's watching, and it blew up, and I had gotten in touch with her and wanted to talk about her. She just seemed very special to me. I got in touch with her, and we got on the line together, and I got to meet her and learned a lot from that, and she's been so awesome. She sends me voice messages all the time now, and we send texts back and forth, and she's older than I am, but yet we can connect deeply, I feel like, and again, just reinforces it's just one of the fruits. Maybe it's the fruit of this whole thing. That's the fruit that I get from it. I think maybe before, and maybe a lot of other people want the acclaim and whatever social status that comes with being a podcaster. I'm sure it would make me feel good if I had that, but I'm just saying that I've realized how good the real fruit is. The stuff I get from doing these things after a month goes by, a year goes by, days go by, just feels good to connect with people and to let them be themselves. Speak the way they want to speak, be who they want to be. And I have so much admiration for the guests. I was interviewed once this year, I think. Once, actually. I was on somebody else's podcast, Joey the Hulk of Area 81 podcast. And so it was really interesting to be on the other side of the table for once, and to be on the hot seat, to have to think quickly, to have to be charming and interesting. It's a lot easier to just ask questions. There's no heat on that, usually. It's been really fun, man. I got to cover some of the protests that were going on around here in Ventura. I recorded some of the speeches. I got to interview some of the activists and leaders who were involved, such as Dark Matter Collective. I got to talk to Jaylyn, Dee Bridget. I got to talk to this fascinating young girl. Her name is Alexandria. She had just put out her first book, and it's a question and answer sort of text. 16 years old, and it was so awesome to hear how articulate and smart and thoughtful and kind, and it was so cool. So cool. The last one I'll mention is that I got to interview somebody interesting in Ventura County, Pizza Man Dan. He owns a pizza chain out here in Ventura, and that was really awesome getting to talk to him because his weird cars are everywhere. You see the pizza everywhere in Ventura. You see there are, I think, 7 or 8 locations. You inevitably run into them when you're driving around. That was awesome because that interview took place over 2 nights over the course of 2 weeks. The first interview lasted, I think, 35 minutes, and like our connection cut out, and it was very frustrating and embarrassing. It was like glitching, and I had just said, I'm sorry. Can we try next week? I can, salvage what we've gotten so far. And he said, yeah. I said, yeah. And it worked out the second time too, so I was able to crop up one decent interview. And he was very interesting. He's a very interesting man. It's one of the badges I wear on my vest, having interviewed Pizza Man Dan. Okay, just a couple more things here. I wrote myself a couple questions, just for fun. I write, how far have I come as an interviewer and a podcaster? Not far. I haven't gone anywhere. 50 episodes, including this one. A lot of interesting interviews. Not a minute was wasted in this process I've been developing of finding guests, arranging a time, producing the show, directing it, writing the questions, and then getting them on the line and making it as interesting as I can and making it easy for them. In that respect, I think I've come really far. I remember when I first started worrying so much about a lot of stuff that just doesn't matter. Like the quality I worried about for, I swear, a year. Try to get everybody's help with audio. Oh, what equipment? How should I mix and master? What do I do here and there? And not getting any satisfactory responses. Feeling like I didn't understand what they were saying or that it wasn't enough information. So I just started trying to figure it out on my own, and I believe I did. The first reason why that's something not to worry about too much is that, first of all, no one's going to care as much as you. No one's going to be looking for every little bump in the mic like you are, like I used to. And secondly, I don't know. I feel like I waited so long because of those details that didn't end up even mattering anyway because nobody really listened. So it's like, why not do something right now that I'm happy with, at least I'm happy with, that's fun, that's worthwhile, and I'll just get better. And that's sort of been my process. So how far have I gotten as an interviewer and podcaster? I don't know how much further than day one, but I feel like I'm going upward. I think I'm getting better. What advice would you give to someone who wants to start a podcast? I pretty much answered it. I would say just do what you want. No one's going to care as much as you. Give it a shot if you think it's fun. I would say to know why you're doing it. And I only say that because I knew why I started this thing, like I said already. Having missed the opportunity with my grandfather, yet getting the opportunity with my grandmothers, and having this on the record to reflect on and to think about and to just wonder about and to be more thoughtful and better for having done it. That's why I do it. As much as I wanted the acclaim before, and maybe a part of me still does, and to want the attention and to be thought of as somebody interesting and smart, that becomes less and less important. Once you just you feel disappointed long enough, oh, I didn't get enough likes on this, oh, that wasn't very good. You feel disappointed long enough, and you just realize it doesn't really matter too much. So know why you're doing it, and that'll get you through. All right. What do you hope to accomplish next year? I don't know. Hopefully get a steady job, be better every single day. I don't want to waste any more time on my phone or on the couch. When I'm not tired, I should be up doing something. Hope to be a better brother, a better son, a better husband. Healthier and stronger. That's it. Well, I think that's it for now. It's the end of 2020. I'm going to leave us off with a message from my good friend, Chula Chola. See you next year.
I just want to say Happy New Year to you, your mama, your family, everybody in your whole house, your own little family. May God bless you guys all. May 2021 be a big bang for you guys, with anything that you do, my friend. Anything and everything you do, may it always come out good, better than what you imagine. You know what I mean? May God bless you with good health. May God bless you with provision, food, with everything that you need, my friend. And we will have lunch, me, you, and your mama, and your family, God's willing, because we do need to kick it. You know what I mean? And we got to drink those, what do they call those, mimosas? No, not mimosas. Those famosas. Because, you gotta recognize. I get happy. All right. I love you, my friends. God bless you.